Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning and welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. Today is Wednesday, April the 13th. I am Bill Allen, sitting in for Winston Chester this morning. We've got a great show lined up for you about, as we do usually once a year or twice a year, fishing the transition out in the bay, and got a special guest here to talk about that. And let's look at our weather for today. We got a high of 77 with a low of 69, but big surprise, we're going to have wind 15 to 20 out of the southeast. I know we're all living with that now, but low tide this morning at 5:02 and a high tide at 9:32 p.m. The average water temperature in the Gulf is 68 right now. So again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. We're looking at a full moon April the 16th, and right now we've got about 84% illumination, so it's pretty bright out there. Major fishing times are going to run today at 9:26 a.m. to 11:26 a.m. and just really an average day, but those are the peak times. Apalachicola at Bluntstown is 18 feet, was 20 feet a couple of days ago or so, but it's right now it looks like it's going to be flat through Saturday. There's a ton of water down there, making it difficult to do anything. Choctawhatchee at Caryville is at 8 feet and falling, but of course Thursday and Friday we're expected to get some more rain, and that local rain will affect that a little bit more. So all right, we're going to go ahead and take our first break and be right back with our special guest. Hey, and welcome back, and I'm happy to be joined by my good friend and longtime fishing partner, Mark Cowart.
Good to be here this morning.
Who is most famous around here for being Michael Cowart's father.
There's no doubt about that.
And no doubt, Captain Michael Cowart's father. But anyway, you know, Mark, we started this several years ago on the show where we did it in the fall, we did it in the spring, talking about the transition between. It's not wintertime.
That's right.
And it's not summertime yet.
That's right.
So, you know, you have to fish and you have to be prepared a little bit differently to fish. But now, first of all, to give some credence to this, if you want to take a look at Jeff, you can show these pictures. Mark, this is Sunday, right?
Sunday.
Now, this
are two different fish. According to Mark. But if you look at the spots, they're pretty close. But
and yet a third fish.
It was Sunday.
That's
was a good
day, brother.
Sunday was a good day. I'm in a group text with some tournament angler guys, the redfish tournament redfish, and I was telling them, I said, well, these were the fish I was looking for last Sunday.
Yeah.
Or last Saturday, the weekend before.
No
but
kid.
you know, the thing is, this time of year you have to kind of change your mentality a little bit. They've come off of, they're making the transition to feed to baits that are moving more than necessarily that are on the bottom. In the winter, you know, there's a lot of people say, you know, you start downsizing in the winter. But really and truly, you know, they'll eat big baits, they'll eat 4-inch, you know, paddle tails in the winter like they will in the summer. The difference is this time of year, they're wanting to eat. The water temperature is increasing.
They're getting more active.
Yeah, they're getting more active. If the water's warmer, they're burning more calories, which means they have to eat more. So what I do this time of year, and I tried to do it a week ago, but in the Emerald Coast tournament, but the weather was so bad, lightning and thunderstorms. Lightning and thunderstorms will move redfish off a flat.
Me off the flat.
Yeah, that's right. If they leave, you should leave. They never came back for us last week, but. So this Sunday was almost ideal weather in the sense that you had a south wind, a southeast wind, or even a southwest wind, needed a south wind, helped push some water in the bay. The water was coming in, but that added the water moving quicker. Fish sense that moving water, which will lead them to feed. Then the next thing is that I went to where it was as shallow as it could be and started looking for potholes. So in a 1.5 foot tide, I'd have been at almost 3 feet of water. at a half foot of tide, I was in 1.5 to 2 feet of water.
Yeah.
Those potholes would be down another foot. If you could find potholes that were big enough, you could find the redfish.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah, that's an excellent strategy.
You know, so, because those fish are pushing off, and they're going to go to that first deep water they can find. And, you know, I could sit and I'd move about 10 or 15 feet and pole down and look. You know, I'm not on a tower, I'm standing on the deck. I've got a little step stool in my boat that's like a boat dock stool, like you step up on a dock, maybe 18 inches tall. I'll put it up front and get on that just to get a little bit higher. But I'm looking for that water. You can just see it looks dark. It's almost like there's a grass patch, but you know there's not any grass right now. Mm-hmm. So, and by gosh, they were there.
Yeah. You know, we were talking earlier and got a couple of minutes. We're going to come back and talk about what Mark's using right now, what I'm using right now. But, you know, in the winter, probably, we don't even remember, 5-6 years ago or so when we...
Oh, one of the greatest days.
Well, it was one of the greatest days. But we came up on a place that was a horseshoe, and the fish were a school of redfish, 50, I don't know.
I don't know. It was a bunch.
But they were going from the back of one end of the horseshoe out around into the other end. And Mark and I were coming up on it, and I don't remember which one, but one of us made a long cast near the mouth or the corner of it and picked up a redfish, and we poled down, and they never came out in the bay. I mean, they never came out past us. They went
it was like
hours.
It's like a racetrack. They just made the curve going back and forth.
It was funny that we, you know, of course, we released those fish, but in the process of doing that, and these fish were so active, they were regurgitating in the boat sandworms.
Yes.
I mean, just nothing but sandworms. And so ever since, I have carried, you know, these. They're not Z-Man, they're Strike King, but I know Z-Man makes something similar.
They do.
You know, and have used them religiously. But that truly, I don't know how many fish we caught.
We caught a bunch.
And
ironically, the very next weekend was a redfish tournament here.
Yeah.
Michael and I fished that tournament, went over there and won the tournament from that spot.
You know,
won it, and literally won it in 30 minutes. We had the rest of the day to keep to babysit our fish.
Well, you know, it was just one of those amazing days. We happened on them, we sat right there and never moved.
Never moved.
So we're going to go ahead and take this quick break. We're going to talk about fishing right now and what we're using and some of the new things that Z-Man are coming out with. And welcome back. Mark, before we get into that exactly, there's a lot of wind, you know.
Yes.
We've always had wind, but with the lack of trees, there's a lot of wind now.
It's a very good observation. That's very good observation.
You know, the places that, like we used to run and hide to get out of the wind, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it's just flat all around it.
The wind coming everywhere. You don't have anything to block it. So, you know, one, if you're not using Power Pro or a line like Power Pro, you're missing out. But when you're using that and you're casting into the wind, the best thing to do is cast with the wind.
Yeah, you always want the wind at your back.
Yeah.
It's, you know, your goal is to get your bait as far as possible from the boat.
Absolutely.
You know, about half your cast is...
Longest cast.
Yeah, half your cast is really almost wasted, because once that bait, you know, every now and then you're going to have a redfish or a trout chase it to the boat. But rarely, once, you know, if you're active in the boat, if there's more than two, if you're by yourself, you can be a little stiller, but typically two people, the boat's moving and the boat's sending out shock waves. These fish sense that. So, you know, it's Fred Myers used to say half your cast is wasted, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure he still says it. And you just got to be able to throw it as far as possible. We use Grand Slam braid, High Seas Grand Slam braid, which is a third thinner. Like a 10-pound High Seas is a third thinner than Power Pro or Spider Wire, which obviously is going to help you get more distance on your cast. Their 15-pound is the equivalent of 10-pound. So we're doing everything we can to get the bait as far from the boat as we can. And you got to have the wind at your back. You have to have the wind at your back.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one of I'm a complete now Z-Man convert. I don't have any gulp anymore. There's not any reason to, and And even though you don't necessarily have to, I catch more fish when I'm putting Procure on
Absolutely. And some of the inshore
if
baits
you
have
haven't
it.
tried it and you think it's BS to sell stuff, it's not. But I use this Procure. Mark got me using that a while back.
I mean, we have big
years
bottles
ago.
of it. They're like big things
get
of it.
big bottles.
Like this bait right here, which is the paddlers. You can see right here on the logo, it says it's scented with Procure Super Gel. So it's this. If you're buying a Z-Man inshore bait, a primarily inshore bait, it's 90% of those are going to have Procure already on it. And it's the way that the Z-Man products are made. It really will stay on it. If I take a bait, I have a diesel minnow on my rod. I've probably caught 10 or 12 redfish on to right now, and I've put Procure on it one time. And if I grab it, it's still on that. It doesn't go away. The Z-Man baits are cool in the sense that they absorb it and they hold it on the baits. But right now, this paddlers is a great bait to throw. This is a 4-inch paddlers. I'm also throwing a 4-inch diesel minnow, and I had them. I don't know what I did with them, but I had them, and I obviously I can't go grab them right this second. But and I'll show you how we're rigging those in a little bit.
Yeah.
But this bait. But I'm going to show you something else, and this is, again, designed to be a bass bait. It is a willow vibe made by Z-Man, and it is a chatterbait willow vibe. They come 2 to a pack. This is a 3/8 ounce. I'm throwing it a little bit deeper water. It is really a bass bait. We were up at Logan Martin Lake, a bunch of us were a couple of weeks ago, and we caught everything on this you could catch. There wasn't anything. We caught drum on it, crappie on it, stripe on it, spotted bass, largemouth bass.
Well, it's going to put out a vibration.
Yes, and the great thing about the way this is designed is that this bait, the way it runs back with this blade up, and it wants to ride up. So it's perfect in 1.5 to 2 feet of water, even over grass. You just slow roll it. It wants to ride up. You just slow roll it, and I'm telling you, these fish absolutely destroy it. Now, this is made for bass. It's not made for redfish.
Yeah, that hook.
Yeah, that hook. You got to be careful. We're using 10-pound braid, so therefore we don't have a problem. But if you go to 15 or 20-pound braid, you can't horse it in.
You're going to need to maintain your drag.
Yeah, hopefully, we can do a little influence and get them to make this bait. Same thing with a 2X or 3X hook, and it'll be a redfish killer. I'm telling you, they absolutely jump over each other to get this. They've never seen it. And that goes back to one of the things I was going to say. You got to think now, Bill taught me how to redfish, and I'm grateful for him, and that led to Michael's career. If you really
That's
think.
true, and I asked Michael about a percentage.
Yeah, you need to be getting a percentage.
Got
yes.
around to that yet.
But it's amazing how this sport works and how the trickle down goes. But the one thing that it is very noticeable, it's like bass fishing. It's very popular now. Used to, 10 years, 12 to 15 years ago, you could go somewhere and may have a whole big cove to yourself. Now there's 3 boats in it. Red fishing's the same way.
Yeah.
You've got multiple boats out there fishing. You've got charter guides fishing. You got guys in kayaks. I watched a boat Sunday, a pontoon boat, take 4 kayakers out, put them in the water, and the pontoon boat left. Yeah. And those kayakers never would have been fishing where we were. They couldn't have got there. Well, they could have, but they would have had to left yesterday to get there. But the one thing you want to do is you kind of want to throw baits that they're not typically used to seeing, like this Willow Vibe by Z-Man. It's a great thing to throw. They've never seen it. They actually make an eye strike chatterbait, which is a little bit beefier version. The blade's different. It sets off a different vibration. That is also very effective. But one of the things that I've been doing a lot of is when we have fish that don't want to eat, is throwing baits that they've never in their life seen. And this is a Z-Man. It's called a goat. Greatest of all time. Now, this is a bass bait. They put it on trailers for buzz baits. They'll peg it and drop it. But this thing swims like a maniac. And I'll rig it. I'll take this weedless eye, this eye strike weedless eye hook. It's a Z-Man product as well. And rig it on that and just slow roll it. And this thing kicks so hard. You're about a foot under the water. And you'll watch those redfish. I've seen redfish, I've literally watched them turn on it, kind of barely move. You don't have to move this real fast. You can just stop the retrieve. It'll swim down. and then hop it a couple times and watch those redfish just to go get it.
Well, the great thing about it, these baits and the new chatterbait is you'll be able to throw that a long way.
Absolutely. That's a dense bait, too.
Yeah, you'll be able to throw that a long way. And with those eye strike heads, which
that's a great
I'm
head.
a big fan of. That's just about all I use now.
Michael and I actually designed this in conjunction with Eye Strike and Z-Man.
Yeah, I remember that. And,
but you could this is an 1/8 ounce head. Typically, with a bait that size, you have to have a 1/4 ounce head. But that bait is so heavy,
yeah, you can
throw
to do
it. Yes, you can throw it.
When I like to bounce a lot of baits.
Yes, you do.
Shrimps and things like that. But the way these are designed, you have the eye strike with the flexible head.
I have the Texas eye right here.
Yeah, we've talked about those, but these baits are so buoyant, and I think I've shown these before where this is flexible.
Yeah, it's free swing.
When you stop it, this bait's going to stand up like this and continue to move.
Yes,
so,
it does.
All right, Mark, we're getting, as usual, getting carried away. We need to go ahead and take this break and pay some bills, and we'll be right back. All right, and welcome back. And Mark, we were just talking, and all of these baits rigged like this, you're swimming these baits, letting them drop,
Yes.
swimming these baits. That's why the weedless is very important, on that right
that's
there.
exactly
But
right.
it's like, Greg and I fish the Paul Browns a lot, the suspending baits, that you work and you jerk. You really have to develop that. But here, it's a lot easier bait to fish, but you have to figure out a speed, right?
Yes.
You're going to fish it at different speeds.
That's right, and if there's two of you on the boat, somebody throw one thing, somebody throws something else. But once you're on the fish, somebody gets one, and then you trying to transition, both kind of throwing the same thing. Both of you need to bring it back at different speeds. And I'll tell you another secret to these Z-Man baits. They want to float. You throw it in the water, it's not going to sink. It'll sit right on top. But when you weight the bait, like when you put a jig head on, let's say this Texas eye, and you want it to be more action in the water, especially when it goes to the bottom, you stretch it. Mm-hmm. Once you stretch that bait, it releases a little bit more of the salt out of it, and now that tail's going to want to really float.
Yeah, that's a good tip we don't talk about enough. But
yeah, when Glenn Young, who's with Z-Man, he did a video on that, and I'm thinking, really? I mean, nobody ever said that to me. Man, holy cow, and it really works.
I actually saw it on a video, but when you stop these baits, as we were talking, they're buoyant. They're going to float up. So don't just stop it and immediately start again, because when it's sitting up and there's any movement in the water at all, that thing's moving.
Yes, absolutely. It's
one of the biggest redfish that I've caught in the last couple of 3 years was on that this rig with that weedless head on that little, and now you forgive me, but that smaller shrimp that you were, I forgot what they're called now.
It's a shrimp, or it's just a shrimps.
It's just a shrimp, but I had thrown it and it was no wind. I had thrown it an absolute mile, and I hopped it a couple of times and let it sit, and then when I tried to hop it the next time, it had a Volkswagen on the end.
Oh yeah, I'm
when I set the hook, but it's just sitting there. Be patient with this and fish it at different speeds. But Mark and I did this for years.
That's what
Greg
he's talking
and
about
I
right
do
there.
it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Mark and I did it for years, and Greg and I do it. We're going to start out fishing two different things, okay? Two different types of baits. And find out, you can kind of find out where the fish are that day and what they're hitting. And like I said, don't be like me. Don't be stubborn and stick with it, even though your partner's catching more fish than you are.
So here's two different shrimp products that Z-Man makes. One is called an easy shrimp. It's a little denser. It's kind of close to some of the competitors, but there's a special purpose of this shrimp that's different than this. This is the shrimps. It looks like a shrimp and it smells like a shrimp. It's already got Procure on it. Mm-hmm. This is more of this thing swims with its tail, but you can rig this backwards, or you can actually rig this backwards. It's got a little channel in the back of the tail, and to rig it backwards is, I'll just do it on this because this will be the simplest, fast one to do it on. You just simply just take it, you fold the little tail, you fold the little end to hold it, and run it right down this tube. They're slimy, man. They got Procure all on them. Run it right down the tube. Keep it right in the body. And you would think this is going to tear this bait. No way.
No, they don't.
No way. It actually is it's one of the most amazing things. You know, they talk about the Z-Man Elastec space age technology. It truly is. So right here, I'm telling you, this thing does not want to go through the bar. I mean, it is the crazy. Take it through these little keepers. You see these keepers right here. There's 2 keepers, and on those 2 keepers right there, you're gonna slide it past those keepers.
And it really won't pull off.
Yeah, that is not coming down. You really got to work. I mean, it does not want to go over them. You really have to pull them up on it like that.
And the reason you rig it backwards, and the reason that you rig those gulp backwards, when you have to cut the tail off the gulp, you don't have to on this, is because that profile is going to fly through the air without tumbling.
Yeah, a lot of people take scissors. No, Bill will trim off that little piece of that tail and that tail. I actually trim the legs off when I'm throwing it backwards because that makes it more aerodynamic.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It hook the regular way, it's gonna flop and roll on you when you throw it. So this gives you more distance.
You can see this. That will not pull off, and you can catch. I've literally caught 12, 15, 18 redfish on one Z-Man bait.
Yeah, you rarely run out. You rarely wear them out.
Yeah, I'm telling you, a pack of 3 is like a pack of 20 or something else.
And if you're using boxes, kind of like I do, where you've got several different baits in there, be sure that you don't put these in with anything else, because you'll just have one big wad of rubber.
Well, I'm going to tell you the coolest little thing is that a lot of people have little binders. Every Z-Man pack is made to store these in.
All right, we're talking, Mark. You got like 15 seconds. Grab that, because that's what I use.
All right, so this pouch right here is a bait binders.
Yeah.
And it's designed to clip those in, and you just flip through your baits in there, and you have them all in there, and they're stored in the pack. Easy to transport.
Hope this helps you guys. This is a great way. Z-Man's got plenty of products that you can fish and keep varying things till you find the fish. Mark, thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
God bless and have a great week.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.